Hello and welcome back to another of my little videos about programming your Jeti. Now, if your model has wheel brakes and retracts, well, some people like to disable the wheel brakes whilst the wheels are up. And doing this is not quite as simple as disabling nose wheel steering when the wheels are up. If you remember, that's very easily done just by having a dual rate of 0%, which drives the control to the center point, which is probably where you want to keep the nose wheel whilst it's up. But with wheel brakes, you want to drive it to one end of its travel, whether it's an electronic valve or a servo-operated valve. So how can you switch off the wheel brakes but make sure they're driven to one end of their travel without using a flight mode? Well, we use a logic switch. So let's go in here, have a look at the model. Into the function assignment, I've got a switch for the gear, but for the brakes, I'm going to use a logic switch. So I'll go in here, press that, assign, and it's going to be logic switch 1 because we're about to create it. Say OK to that. Off we go into the advanced properties, logic switches, enable it, come down. Okay, control 1, of course, is going to be the retract switch. And we'll start with the retracts in the up position. And once we select input control, we'll move the wheels to the down position. In other words, the position in which you want the wheel brakes to actually work. Say OK to that. Then we come to control 2, and this will be, in this case, I'm using a slider for the brake control, so I'll select that, move it. I don't want it to be an on-off switch, I need it to be a proportional control, so press the prop button, say OK, then come along here and change it to linear. Reason is we don't want an on-off output. There we go, we want an actual numerical output. And finally, the condition is AND. There we go. So, as long as both controls are running, and control 2 is always running because we've made it just a linear thing. So if control 1 is on, the output is going to be a nice linear output. Lovely. And if control 1, that's the retract switch, comes to the up position, that switches it off and the output goes off. And Jeti calls minus 100% as off and plus 100% is on. And there you go, as you can see now, I'm moving P6. The output has gone off. The servo will be locked. Let's have a little look at it. Remind ourselves which are which. Okay, gear is 5, brakes are 6. So gear down and the brake lever works, switch gear up, and the brakes are locked at minus 100%. Okay, straightforward enough, but you might find that something's gone quite screwy for you, and it depends which way you like to move the brake lever. Let's take a look. Okay, very important to notice that when we switch the wheels up, and we want to lock the control, because it's an AND, it will go to minus 100%. Now that's not the servo travel, because you can reverse the servo. What this is the control output. So the control output is locked at minus 100%. Doesn't matter what we do with the lever there. And that's fine if, with the lever in the brakes off position, is at minus 100%. So if we switch control back on there, so our lever is now moving minus 100 to plus 100. If you put the lever into your brakes off position, so it's minus 100%, and then of course switching up the retracts switches it up, that's fine because it's locking the control in effect at the off position. But what happens if, as it happens for me, I put the lever in what I want to be the brakes off position, that's plus 100%. and therefore brakes on is minus 100%. Switching the retracts up forces it to minus 100%, i.e. full brakes on position, which is not what I want because of the way I move the lever. How do we correct this? Well, we go to Control 2, which is our lever, and we simply reverse it. So at the moment, lever up for me, which is brakes off, is plus 100. Lever away from me, which is brakes on for me, is minus 100. And of course that's where it's locking it when we switch the wheels up. So we just reverse it. And now you see lever away, which is where I want full brakes, has now become the plus 100. Lever up, which is where I want brakes off, has become the minus 100. Say OK. And then switch the wheels down. You can see everything still works, but these numbers are now running the opposite way around. So if I put the lever all the way down, full brakes on, plus 100. Lever all the way up, full brakes off, minus 100. And then when I switch the wheels up, it's locked at minus 100, the brakes off position. Lovely. And that's solved it. So we can cope with whichever way you want the lever to run. Just beware that you need to set Control 2 to run normal or reversed, depending on which end you want the brakes in effect to lock at, because the brakes are the logic switch is going to lock at minus 100% when you switch the wheels up. As I say, don't worry about what that does to the servo, because once you've got this right, if the servo is going the wrong way, you simply reverse the servo. Okie doke, hope that helps.